Second and 10, Lions. DeWalt hit as he was attempting to throw the ball. A flag is down. Mitchell Price getting in there very quickly. Holding against the BC Lions.
Holding. BC number 54 declined. Third down.
See Roy DeWalt going straight back, looking downfield. The protection is there, but he pulls the ball down looking for somebody else, and he's hit, and it looked like that ball was knocked away from him. But they called him in the grass, I guess, and blew the whistle. That was a break for the BC Lions, really.
And that's not going you here, but Lou. And he gets a beauty away. Paul Bennett at his own 35. Bennett almost gets it back to midfield, runs into Ryan Potter. 9:22 remaining in the opening quarter, and we're still looking for our first score. Nelson Piquet and Keke Rosberg will have the front row position for the Dutch Grand Prix tomorrow, and Jeff Gowan and Graham Leggett will have the play-by-play of that World Cup soccer game, Canada versus Honduras, from Tegucigalpa.
Get a little look at Reggie Mathis on the sidelines. And there's a very concerned Coach Don Matthews over there, because he doesn't want his team not to realize that they're a good football team just because they had a couple of shaky things happen to them early here.
Pancho James, the ball carrier. The BC Lions were penalized on that punt return, and that's the reason for the excellent field position of the Hamilton Ticats.
You know, one of the real marks of a professional football team and an experienced team is just not to take silly penalties and get rattled when they have a bad start in the football game. They've got to really settle down. They're too good a football team to be bothered by little things like that.
Second and 7 for the Ticats. That pass complete to Pancho James. Tyrone Cruz, the middle linebacker, over to make the stop for the BC Lions.
Don Sweet comes back on the field, and it looks like he's putting the tee down to get prepared for another field goal. Sweet's been a great pro for the Montreal Alouettes and the Concorde. And he told me the other day on the plane coming out here that he just feels that he's got a couple good years left. His legs feel good. So he was happy to get the call from the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
He has already attempted one tonight and missed, so this will be the second field goal attempt for Don Sweet on the 42. And again, he's short by about a yard or two. And again, Mel Bird concedes. This time, the point will go on the board. No penalty on the play. So the Hamilton Ticats take a 1-0 lead on a missed field goal by Don Sweet.
You know, we talked before the game about Hamilton having to keep the ball moving and giving their defense a chance to be rested when they go out there to face that tough offense of the BC Lions. But they can't afford to get real good field position like they've had twice now early in the ball game and only come out with 1 point. When they get their opportunities, they've got to strike, because this is too good a football team that they're playing against.
First and 10 for the Lions from their own 35. Kevan Jenkins, and he goes nowhere. Grover Covington, the first man to get to Kevan Jenkins.
Well, they saw that play once, the Hamilton Tiger Cats did, on the first sequence of plays. I've seen somebody there getting his helmet blown up, getting some air in the helmet, so the suspension is good and firm. But they saw that play as the first sequence of plays when Jenkins went motion and then came back on the counter, so they're ready for it the second time.
Lots of 3, second and 13. DeWalt still on his feet. And finally brought down at the 38-yard line, Reggie Mathis. In there to make the tackle.
Oh, that was a whole lot of running for 5 yards. Roy DeWalt traditionally is not a great runner, or doesn't like to run that much, really, and hasn't had to run that much. He's getting some pressure put on him by that tough front four of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but he really shows some agility as he dangles in and out there, back and forth, and goes down the yard markers, and after all that, he only got 5 yards.
3rd and 5 for Saturday to punt. And that's as close to almost being blocked. Paul Bennett at his own 15. Gets out to the 26-yard line before he stopped a 57-yard punt from Louis Pasaglia.
Well, we talked before about how important Bernie Ruoff was to that Hamilton team. Well, you take that Pasaglia out of BC, boy, and they're missing something, too, because now twice tonight already, he has really kicked them out of trouble. And now it's up to that defensive team that got so much publicity and that they're so famous for being so tough to do something, because Hamilton is not too impressed so far.
1st and 10 Ticats from their own 26. Bad exchange, and the BC Lions have recovered. Gray jumping on that ball for the Lions.
It looked to me like Hobart pulled out of there too quickly, and when the ball did come, his hands were away from the center, and the ball got away, and that's just unfortunate, but it's a great break for the BC Lions.
Mike Gray, who had that outstanding game against Hamilton, in Hamilton, for the BC Lions.
He's already pulling out of there, and his arms just aren't long enough to reach down there and get a hold of that ball.
So, excellent field position for the BC Lions. 1st and 10 from the Ticats 21. DeWalt puts it up, intended for Fernandez, just overthrown.
Well, if it's at all possible, I think Mervyn Fernandez may have slowed down on that a little bit, because Roy threw that ball pretty well. But you never can tell with Fernandez. He's got such a deceptive gait about him, but he just broke wide open on the thing, and the thing was just a little bit above his outstretched arm.
There haven't been too many occasions when Roy DeWalt has overthrown Fernandez. Because of his tremendous speed, he's usually able to get to those and just run underneath them. 2nd and 10 Lions. Grover coming to getting in there to sack Roy DeWalt. Big play for the Hamilton defense.
We'll see the blitz here. It's just a crisscross between Covington and Price on the inside, and Covington just comes through clean. Not a very good job by that experienced offensive line of the BC Lions picking up that stunt. That wasn't a blitz by a halfback or a linebacker or anything else. That was just a front four blitz.
Louis Pasaglia with a field goal try. And he is good. So the BC Lions hit the scoreboard with a 38-yard field goal and go in front of the Ticats 3-1. Join Don Whitman and Ronnie Lancaster for that game tomorrow. Calgary of Winnipeg. The big question, can Joe Barnes and the Stamps make it 2 in a row? 1st and 10 for the Ticats from their own 35. Hobart firing incomplete. Intended for number 25, Scott Colley. Now let's explain something to you. On that point that was taken away by the Hamilton Ticats, it was an option call early in the first quarter, and they had the option of pushing the BC Lions back to their own 5-yard line or taking the point and having BC come out and scrimmage from their own 35. They elected to have BC scrimmage 1st and 10 from their own 5 and lost the point. So that's how Hamilton did not get that first point on the board. Hobart under tremendous pressure. Mike Gray in to make the stop on Hobart. What a night Mike Gray has had.
Hobart goes back, and the linebackers got in a stunning position that time, and both Konar and Cruz came, and they just were outnumbered, that's all, and they had too many orange shirts in there.
4 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. BC in front of Hamilton by a score of 3-1. Don Sweet in a punting situation. Darnell Flash, the lone man back. Picks it up. Gets to the 50 and no more. Lance Thompson leading a wave of white sweaters down the field. So the BC Lions will have excellent field position. They'll take it 1st and 10 from their own 50.
That offensive line for the Hamilton Tiger Cats have got some people in there that are going to be good people, but they haven't been there long enough, and so they're going to miss some of those stunts coming, especially from an experienced team like the BC Lions.
Fernandez split wide to the left, Sandusky wide to the right. The pitch to Kevan Jenkins, and he's caught in the backfield. Donovan Rose in to make the stop for Hamilton.
Well, there's no question that they're keying on Kevan Jenkins. This toss play is a play that they were very successful with in the past. They get Kevan on the outside, and they bring that guard and tackle, but as you saw that time, they were just a little bit late getting there, and the penetration was there. There's the play.
Block for 2 on the play, 2nd and 12. DeWalt intended for Sandusky, and it's knocked away. Les Brown getting a hand up there to tip that away. Leo, you mentioned at the beginning of the game that the Hamilton defense would have to come up big, and they have done exactly that.
Well, they've been coming up big all year. It's just the point is that they've got to get their offense rolling. They've had pretty good field position twice now. Excellent job there recovering to the football with the football and the flight.
Les Brown getting a hand up, just like Fields did earlier in the game in deflecting a pass that was intended for Ron Robinson. 3rd and 12 for the Lions, punting situation. Howard Fields at his own 20. Dances off to the 23-yard line. Met there by Mark Napier-Kowski.
One of the big improvements in Canadian football over the last 10 years has been the quality of the special teams. And I just marvel at how these big guys, get downfield and cover on those punts. Both teams are doing an excellent job as of tonight.
Can you believe that stat? BC Lions net 1-yard offense.
You're just expecting at any moment to break loose.
1st and 10 Ticats from their own 24. Hobart intended that for Colley, incomplete. Dangerous pass to throw, I would think, from that position, Leo.
Well, it's especially dangerous to throw against that kind of a defense. They're playing them real tough and tight. I think that Hamilton, as Hobart experienced early in the ball game, might have more success trying to go deep than they will short, because these guys are real tough on top of you short.
2nd and 10. Hobart complete to Pancho. Make that Graffy, Dave Graffy, number 32. And that should give the Hamilton Ticats the 1st down.
That's something that they've got to start doing, and that's checking to those backs coming out of the backfield. Hobart, I was talking to the coach before the game. Hobart supposedly has a pretty sore wrist and also a bad elbow, but he's a tough kid, and the one thing he can do is run with that football if he gets the opportunity to. He's fifth in the league.
Hobart does well to get that to Pancho James, stumbling on the exchange, and he had to really extend himself just to make the handoff.
It's hard to tell there whether he tripped over somebody's foot or whether he just had that turf monster reach up and grab his ankle, but he did stumble. He's lucky he got that ball to the running back without fumbling it.
The ball on their own 37. Passing situation, and it's deflected by Ty Cruz. A big middle linebacker getting an arm up and knocking it up down.
Good job there by Tyrone Cruz, and a lot of times you underestimate the effect that big defensive line has going in there with their hands up, because that means right away that the quarterbacks got to get the ball up over their hands, and when he does that, he's not getting it in there like he'd like to.
Don Sweet this punt away from his own 25-yard line. Darnell Clash at his own 40. Still on his feet. Gets to the 43-yard line. Steve Jackson downfield to make the tackle for Hamilton.
Somebody's whispered to those Hamilton Tiger Cats, don't give him an inch on those kicks because they're closing in on him from every direction, and they're not giving him a chance to assert himself, because all he's got to do is just get a couple of steps upfield, and he has got to be gone.
First and 10 Lions from their own 43. Jenkins gets across the 45-yard line up to the 46. Ben Zambiazzi, Ticats middle linebacker, in to make the stop.
Ben Zambiazzi, number 31, University of Georgia product, been a great linebacker in there. He's in the middle now. That's where Harold Ballard likes to see him play, right there in the middle. That's where all the action is.
Second and 7 Lions from their own 46. This should be the final play of the opening quarter. Flags go down. It will not be the final play of the opening quarter. Quarter can't end on a penalty. Looks like Robinson may have left a little early in an attempt to get downfield.
Well, it's more and more in evidence that the BC Lions are a little bit nervous about this game. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have a tendency over the years to kind of put the fear of God into anybody.
Offside, BC. Second down repeated.
Moves the ball back to the 41-yard line where the Lions the ball over the middle, in and out of the arms for Kevan Jenkins.
As I pointed out, Steve, you know, for a team that was 5-0 coming into this ball game, you know, they really look shook up out there, and they look like they're being intimidated just a little bit. They've got to get in gear. We'll be back in a moment.
The Sunshine Girls doing their thing for the BC Lions, probably no doubt hoping that the Lions can generate some offense here at BC Place Stadium in the second quarter. They certainly didn't in the opening quarter. 3-1, BC in favor. BC's 3 points coming on a field goal from Louis Pasaglia. Don Sweet missed on both of his field goals, but did pick up a single point on the second field goal. That has to be one of the leanest looking statistical stories I have seen so far this season in the CFL in the first quarter.
And especially for the champion BC Lions.
4 yards.
Total passing yardage, none.
Don Matthews will not be happy. Punting situation for the BC Lions. Louis Pasaglia will get this away from his own 30-yard line. It's a good one. Paul Bennett at his own 25. Fights his way to the 32-yard line where Hamilton will scrimmage first and 10. While we've got a second, we'd like to pass along a hello to Ed Dunn, a CFL official. He's currently in Hamilton in hospital, and all the officials here tonight would like to say get well soon, Ed. First and 10, Hamilton from their own 32. Hobart complete to Pancho James. He's at the 35-yard line. Nelson Martin bringing him down.
Looks like it's holding, though, against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, that's one way of generating some offense.
Holding. Hamilton, number 63. First down repeated.
Holding on Marv Alamang on the play. And over the years, people have said, let's see what the BC Lions do in the second half of the season. Don't let those fast starts fool you. They've got to get over that, and they've got to get over these jitters that they're showing out here tonight.
First and 20. Hobart drops the first tackle. Now he's going to run. Hobart gets out to the 35-yard line. Larry Crawford in to make the stop. And leading the rush for the BC Lions. There's Crawford.
Boy, Crawford came in untouched that time. Konar came in on the inside and grabbed the block. The blocker turned and took on Konar and let Crawford come in there all by himself, but Crawford was off balance.
That was a gain of 13 on the play, so it'll be 2nd and 7 for Hamilton. And they'll scrimmage from their own 35-yard line. Hobart, quite a rusher in college, rushed for over 2,000 yards. Mel Bird of the BC Lions shaken up on the play. Mel Bird leading the league in interceptions with 6.
Larry Crawford in there on that last blitz will be in there now in place of Bird probably. And Larry certainly is a big addition to this team. He was down and had a tryout with the San Diego Chargers this year and is back with the club. And boy, that's a great advantage to have him back.
Hobart fires complete to Rocky DiPietro, his first reception of the ball game. Andre Jones over there to make the stop for the Lions. And that's good enough for the first down. That Hamilton defense getting a bit of a break now as the Hamilton offense moving the ball. First and 10, Hamilton from their own 44. Intended for Stapler. Keith Gooch defending on the play. 12:56 remaining to play in the second quarter. BC Lions leading Hamilton 3-1.
The BC Lions are doing more stunning tonight with their in-line people than I've seen them do in several games. You know, going against a rookie offensive line, so to speak, they're trying to confuse them, and they are getting some penetration on them.
Wayne Lee is into the ball game for Hamilton. He's wearing number 17, replacing Colley. Hobart complete to Ingram. And Ingram about half a yard short of the first down, depending on where they mark it.
Hobart's getting some time. That's a great defensive line coming at him, but he's getting some time, and he puts it right into the young receiver, Ron Ingram, from Oklahoma State. And he looks like he's a keeper.
Now Bruno indicating where he thought the ball should be spotted. He's got a bird's eye view.
I'll bet you that he told the official that he thought it was just about a yard further than it was.
Well, they got about a half a yard to go. What do you do, Coach?
I think they'll go for it, and I think it'll be a quarterback sneak, because that Hobart is a big, strong kid. I don't think they'll take a chance on a handoff and maybe getting caught in the backfield. Well, they're taking a lot of time in the huddle, though. He's just telling them, make sure now you don't jump offside.
3rd and inches for the Ticats to keep the drive alive. Goes deep into the backfield to Poncho James, and he leapt across the line of scrimmage. And the indication is first down by about 2 yards.
Just a halfback lead in there as you see the backs leading in front of Poncho James, and he goes in there and turns to the side and gets that yardage. But when you got a half a yard to go and you got a guy that weighs 210 pounds playing quarterback for you, I don't know, do you want to be handing off, but you can't argue with success. It works.
First and 10, Ticats. The ball at the 53-yard line, the BC Lions. Hobart puts it up. Picked off by Darnell Flagg. And Hobart is shaken up on the play. BC Lions leading the Ticats 3-0. We'll be right back in just a moment.
All right, watch the defensive lineman put the rush on here, and Jackson delays and then comes late, and watch the hit that he puts on the quarterback. There he comes late, and it's wide open in the channel there, and look at that. You don't want to take too many of those. No wonder he threw that ball up in the air.
I don't think he knew his telephone number when he was coming off the field. He was shaken off. 1st and 10 for the Lions on the interception. Sandusky with the reception. Fights his way out to the 29-yard line. And there's Hobart.
He looks like he's okay. So how do you like that for a quick recovery?
I'm okay. That's all right, Coach.
So that Jackson's not too tough.
He's a tough kid, I'll tell you. Just dumps it over the middle for Kevan Jenkins. Jenkins gets out across the 30-yard line. Leo Ezrin is there to make the stop. And the Boo Birds have come out here at BC Place Stadium. They were booing Roy DeWalt last week against Calgary. They're doing the same again tonight.
Ezrins is right here, and all he's doing is keying on Kevan Jenkins. And when Kevan comes out here, he's waiting for him, and he just freezes right there. Kevan checks out of the backfield. Number 23. And there's Ezrins coming right up and saying, "You're not going anyplace. I got you all the way."
Louis Pasaglia will get this away from his own 20-yard line. Wayne Lee gets to the 51-yard line. We've got 10:18 remaining to play in the second quarter. The Lions are leading the Ticats 3-1. And for the Expos, who have been slumping a bit of late, they went into that game tonight 7.5 games off the pace in the National League's Eastern Division. Ken Hobart is back in the ball game after getting his bell rung on that last series for Hamilton.
Well, that Jackson loves to hit somebody, and he got a carte blanche that time. Just delayed until that channel opened up in there, and then he came full speed and just got that helmet right under Hobart's chin.
1st and 10 Ticats from their own 51-yard line. They trail 3-1. 10-10 remaining in the second quarter. Poncho James battles his way out to the 55-yard line. Tyrone Cruz over to make the tackle for the Lions.
Tyrone Cruz says, "Take him back."
Holding. Hamilton, number 32. First down receiver.
Dave Graffy holding for the Ticats, moving the ball back to the 41-yard line. Now the Ticats are 1st and 20. Hobart puts it up, looking for Ingram, and it's way underthrown. Larry Crawford applying great pressure for the BC Lions. Looked like Ingram was running one way, and Hobart was expecting him to cut out to the sideline. Those penalty yards have been the most yards generated tonight. The ball at the Hamilton 41. Hobart gets away from one, gets away from a second, dumps it off, and it was deflected
By Larry Crawford.
by Crawford. Is right.
Hobart did what a veteran quarterback will do. He took the ball, and when he got away from that defender that was in there in his backyard, pulled away from him, he looked downfield, and he did have a receiver open, but Crawford was in between he and the receiver and got the hand up.
So that brings on Don Sweet.
Don Sweet said, "I was out helping my son with his baseball team or something. All of a sudden, I got the call." Game with the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Darnell Flash at his own 35.
Okay, guys.
And Wayne Lee over there to make the stop on Clash. This week in the CFL, we've got Calgary at Winnipeg tomorrow. We'll have that game for you. Don Whitman and Ronnie Lancaster. BC at Ottawa on Friday. And on Sunday, it's Winnipeg at Saskatchewan. James Quinn Parker. Oh, he's having a good time.
He better get in there and get a couple sacks.
First and 10 for the Lions from their own 42-yard line. They lead 3-1, 8:46 to play in the second quarter. DeWalt firing complete over the middle. Ron Robinson. And that brings the fans alive. Nick Hebler taking a little sustenance on the sidelines. Gets a little warm here in BC Place Stadium. That tends you to get a little dehydrated. First and 10 Lions. DeWalt pumps one complete to John Pancratz, and Pancratz forced out of bounds by Paul Bennett.
DeWalt saw the blitz coming. Pancratz looked right away. He said, I read it right now. Give me the ball. And they got him the ball, and he got the first down on it. Zambiazzi came that time. So did Mathis. When they do that, there's no room in the end.
First and 10 from the Ticats 46, and DeWalt completes the pass to John Henry White, his first reception of the game. And John Henry gets it down to the 39-yard line of the Ticats.
Now, Steve, I said before the game that they can't afford to send their linebackers and their deep backs on blitzing patterns because they create one-on-one situations. That was one of the first times that they tried it, and sure enough, when they got that ball to Pancratz, sure enough, he was open. So they're going to hold off the blitzer, but that puts a big position on that front four, wrestling those big guys.
Second and 3, Lions. DeWalt under pressure, finally brought down. Walker, Covington, all in there for Hamilton. Big play once again by that Hamilton defense. Louis Pasaki in a punting situation for the Lions. Got it away from his own 55. High snap, but Pasaki pulls it down and gets a high spiraling punt. Taken by Paul Bennett, his own 50, and a flag goes down. 6:41 remaining till halftime. BC in front of Hamilton 3-1. We'll be right back. Have to go with a couple of Hamilton defensive players along with a couple of BC Lions defensive players as my game starts. I can't think of anybody I'd pick on offense so far.
Well, it's been a defensive game, and I'm really surprised at Hamilton that BC hasn't done more.
Hobart sacked. Rick Klassen getting in to make the stop. Mike Gray was there. Ty Cruz.
You see, all of these defensive linemen are coming, and that's something that Hamilton can't accommodate. When you send that many people in there, somebody with the pressure is bound to get there. Quick Parker got there, and so did Gray on the inside. Parker contained it. Gray come up the middle and just forced it and stuffed it. But they know that Hobart can't read the defenses as well as DeWalt can, so they can take some freedom where Hamilton can't take that freedom with their blitz.
Loss of 9, second and 19. Hobart wants to run it. Flag down on the play.
Thank you.
Looks like another of your favorite calls, Leo.
Holding, Hamilton number 69. Decline, third down.
Well, that was Gary Ryrenko. Well, number 99, there's no question he was held a little bit there, but as tough as they're coming in there, it's pretty difficult for those Hamilton guys not to grab hold.
3rd and 12 brings on Don Sweet. Sweet lines one. Forces Darnell Clash back to his own 35. To the 40. And he's tripped up at the 42-yard line. Maybe he tripped over the 40-yard line.
Those are the dangerous kind, Steve, because if you get the ball up in the air and get that air time, you can get that coverage team down under it. But that was kind of a line drive, and Clash had about 20 yards in between where he caught the ball and that coverage. And boy, I tell you, it's dangerous when he gets it 20 yards away from that cover team because he's liable to break it.
Well, there's one thing the BC Lions can't complain about. They have had good field position. 1st and 10 from their own 43. Kevan Jenkins out to the 49-yard line. Grover Covington over to make the stop for Hamilton. As we look at Mike Gray. In the first game of the season for the BC Lions in Hamilton, as Leo pointed out, he was the defensive player of the week. Had a simply outstanding game. And I talked about the heat. You can see the sweat pouring off of Mike Gray. 2nd and 4 for the Lions from the 49. Jenkins turns the corner. Gets the first down into Hamilton territory down to the 50-yard line. Mark Streeter and Les Brown over to make the stop.
Just a simple handoff to Kevan. He's starting to the inside and then veers to the outside. We've seen him do this on numerous occasions using his speed. And watch him put that head down. Drives right into Streeter there and gets the first down. Now, Hamilton's got to give up something in the running game when they've only got 4 guys that are coming as we look at Kevan, who's been a real addition to this BC Lions team. But they've got to give up something when they're only coming with 4 men most of the time. They're just pinning their ears back and just flying. And when that happens, in their real alertness to get in there and get on the passer, they've got to open up some of those draw zones and things like that, those inside running zones. So I'd look for the BC Lions to be running inside a little bit more, taking advantage of that.
John Blaine, BC Lions big offensive lineman. 6'6", 280 pounds. Hard to think that anybody could shake him up.
What's going on, Eddie and everybody in Regina? How you doing? We're going to get them.
Yeah, that's exactly what Roy DeWalt intends to do. Go get them. 1st and 10 Lions from the Hamilton 49. The first real BC Lions drive of the game. Jenkins. Good block by Merv Fernandez on Howard Field, and Jenkins gets down to the 40.
Fernandez, watch number 24. Boom! Howard Fields never saw him coming. That's what you call dip, hit, and lift.
I'll tell you, we tend to think of that gentleman as simply a pass receiver with blinding speed, but he can also dish it out, too.
He's a football player.
2nd and 1. And Jenkins gets down to the 35-yard line on the Hamilton Ticats. Good enough for the first down. Crowd here at BC Place Stadium still buzzing over that hit.
They love their Merv Fernandez out here.
Well, he does it all. 1st and 10 Lions from the Ticats 34. Jenkins again. Yeah, this time he gets down to the 27. Howard Fields in to make the stop for the Ticats.
Now, I think I've tried to make it crystal clear that when you're coming with 4 guys and all the responsibility have been on their shoulders to get to that passer, they get a little bit careless in their rush zones, and now the BC Lions are being smart and trying to take advantage of the hitting up inside and finding those open spots. And if they keep at it, they're going to get a lot from them.
Guess who? Kevan Jenkins. And that'll be good enough for the first down. So with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining to play till halftime, BC in front of the Hamilton Ticats 3-1 on a Louis Pasaglia field goal. A single point for Hamilton coming off a missed field goal by Don Sweet. But the BC Lions are knocking at the door. 1st and 10 from the Hamilton 23-yard line. Quick pass. Complete to Fernandez, but he couldn't break the tackle. We've got a full halftime coming up for you. We'll have the news, and then Brian Williams will update all the scores in all the sports, CompuStats, and the highlights. From what has been a defensive battle. It'll be a defensive highlight.
Of which there aren't too many.
Well, we still got 2:19 to play. Lots of time for somebody to get something on the board here. Whitey Walsh pass to Fernandez. Use Ron Robinson on the pick. And that draws a smile from Nick Hebler.
Fernandez goes down and just works around Mathis 43 there. Mathis overskates it, and he just comes back and picks it up. He knows where that first down marker is. Just gets it up to get it.
1st and 10 Lions to Walt. Elects to run it. Gets down inside the 5-yard line.
DeWall pull the ball down, and the rush was there. Covington was in there on him, but he used a little bit of elusiveness right there and got the ball down inside the 10-yard line. And there's Van Jenkins with the ball down around to the 2.
And that gives the BC Lions a first down. And a much happier Don Matthews as he sees his offense finally get on track. Lions now 1st and goal, and the ball is spotted just outside the 1-yard line of the Hamilton Ticats.
Now there's no use trying to speculate right here. They've got a real good blocker in John Henry White in there, and a good runner in Van Jenkins. 3-man solid backfield.
Van Jenkins don't think he made it, and a flag is down. Les Brown in to make the stop. And now some concern on the part of Don Matthews.
Offside, Hamilton, number 77.
Grover Covington offside on the play for Hamilton. So the BC Lions will do it again. 1st and goal.
Well, I pointed out that John Henry White's their favorite blocker down there. He led the play through. Van Jenkins followed him right into it, but that Hamilton line with Mitchell Price and those boys in there got big.
Van Jenkins, touchdown!
Halfback block right in here, and the reverse pivot and hand it to him right behind him, and that's how you score touchdowns on the goal line. John Henry White's leaving it right in there and just hitting anything in his way. Van finds the opening for the touchdown.
Louis Pasaglia will attempt the point after. And Mr. Automatic puts it through, so the BC Lions extend their lead and go in front of the Hamilton Ticats by a score of 10-1.
Well, Steve, we said before the program began that the BC Lions look their best when they're asserting themselves with that extra dimension that they haven't had the last few years, but they do have this year with their running attack. And this man here, Van Jenkins, that's exactly how they got their most success.
Al Bruno a little upset.
We're going to get another look at this. Number 20, John Henry White, piles in there, and Kevan Jenkins says there's nothing right there but red shirts, and I'm going to take it on the inside. Takes it on the inside, finds a little opening, and he's in the end zone. But as long as those horde of red shirts can hold that line of scrimmage and not allow any penetration, a good running back like Kevan Jenkins has got a chance to find an opening.
Howard Fields returning the kickoff. Gets out to the 21-yard line. Tyrone Cruz downfield to make a stop for the BC Lions. Exactly 1 minute remaining to play in the second quarter. BC now leading Hamilton 10-1.
Looks like Gerald Roper on the sidelines there, getting a little
shower.
A little shower prematurely. It's warm out there, but how'd you like to be that front four of Hamilton, going against that big offensive line and trying to have 4 guys penetrate those 5 all night? They got to be a lot hotter.
Hobart passing complete. Rocky DiPietro, and he battles his way to the 35-yard line. Keith Gooch over to make the stop for the Lions.
It was less than a minute to go here in the first half. So what we've said all along is this offensive team of the Hamilton Tiger Cats has to keep the ball moving and allow their defense to get some rest.
Hobart complete to Ingram. Ingram across the midfield stripe inside BC territory. Nelson Martin there to make the stop, and the Hamilton Ticats are in a hurry-up offense. 46 seconds remaining to play until halftime. And James Quick Parker is anything but in getting back into position for the Lions. Hobart under the pressure completes it to Ingram. And Ingram is brought down at the BC Lions 53-yard line. Glenn Jackson over to make the stop.
Al Bruno doing a little coaching to the officials down there on the sideline. I never had much luck with the officials when I was coaching. I don't think he will either.
Hobart gonna run it. And he's tripped up and gets to the 45-yard line. Had to get down inside the 45-yard line for the first down.
Well, it looks like he's almost got it, Steve. Hobart's back, and in the press conference yesterday, Donnie Matthews was saying that as far as speed is concerned, this guy coming out of college had about as much speed as any quarterback coming out of the United States colleges that year. And he's shown that he can run with the football.
Come on, let's land it now. Come on now.
He's got it. About the nose of the football. 27 seconds remaining to play in the second quarter.
You know, I can see a lot of teams that aren't sure of their defenses being a little bit conservative right before the halftime, playing it loose, not wanting to give anybody any long touchdown passes or anything. But as good a team as the BC Lions are, they shouldn't change their defensive tactics at all. They should just go after it.
Pancho James, and he's tripped up at the 43-yard line by Glenn Jackson.
Well, that was a saving tackle by Jackson, too, because James was going to the outside there, and had Jackson not tripped him up, he may have gone a long way down that sideline.
Yeah, we've got a timeout as Hobart comes over to confer with the coaching staff. You got 10 seconds left. What do you do?
In this position on the middle of the field, I think you can get a sideline pass to improve your field position and try to kick the field goal.
I just feel like I can break it this freelance.
You can't take any time, though. You got to get it out of bounds.
Don Matthews conferring with one of his offensive people, Roy Shivers, and that's Hobart talking with the Hamilton Brain Trust.
Al Bruno tell him, I don't care what you do, just as long as you get some points.
And you've only got 10 seconds in which to do it.
And that's not a tough assignment, is it, against the BC Lions defense?
No, not much.
Hobart saying, are you kidding?
Well, let's see what he does. 2nd and 7. Ball at the BC Lions 42. 10 seconds to play till half.
Got to get rid of it. Oh, he's going.
Hobart puts it up. Jennings for Stapler. The pass was going to the outside. Stapler was running to the inside. But that only ate up 4 seconds on the clock. 6 seconds now remaining in the second quarter.
Well, Donnie Sweet is going in there. But it looks like he shows a little bit the effect of being off and not kicking every day. And, you know, he told me that he felt like his legs were in pretty good shape and that he thought he had a couple more years to kick. But I think you got to stay in there and kick every day. And he's been off for a couple weeks. Been short on 2, but we'd really like to get some spring in this leg right now and get it down there. Not enough.
Way short. Short by 5 yards. Larry Crawford has it for BC, and he runs out the clock. And there goes the gun to end the first half of play here at BC Place Stadium as the BC Lions and the Hamilton Ticats make their way to the dressing room. The BC Lions have a 9-point lead. We'll be right back.
Thank you, George McLean. As we come back, the BC Lions, I'll tell you, anything but impressive in that first half. Checking Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays lead the Yankees now by 4.5 games. Toronto winning tonight in Chicago. The interesting story is Dave Stieb had a no-hitter going until the top of the 9th inning when he gave up back-to-back home runs. The Yankees lead Seattle 3-0 in the 4th inning. Olympic Stadium in Montreal tonight, Tim Wallach with a 2-run homer. Expos beat the Dodgers. They trail St. Louis by 7 games. The Cardinals winning in a rain delay in Atlanta. The Mets have defeated San Diego. In the CFL last night, Saskatchewan a big win before more than 45,000 at the Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Here's the big combination. Homer Jordan to Craig Ellis. Jordan, a sophomore out of the Clemson Tigers, passing for 375 yards. And as we look at the 14-yard touchdown again to Ellis, Ellis caught 3 touchdown passes. So the Western Riders are now tied for second place with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Don't forget, the Calgary Stampeders take on the Bombers tomorrow afternoon. We'll have it for you live at 3 Eastern from Winnipeg. Up next, it's the first half CompuStats. We'll take you back to BC Place in Vancouver as CFL 85 continues.
About to get underway here at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver. The BC Lions in front of the Hamilton Ticats by a count of 10-1. And Leo, the story in that first half was all defense.
It sure was, and you got to give that defensive line for the Hamilton Tiger Cats all the credit in the world. 4 of those guys are going up against about 700 pounds of about 7,000 pounds of offensive line by the BC Lions, and through the course of that first half, they just got a little bit careless, and they're opening up those rush zones, and that's where Keevan Jenkins is going through and making those yardage. And it's going to keep up, and I just don't think that Hamilton defensive line can sustain unless that offense gets out there and gives them the ball.
I think that's going to be the big story for the Hamilton Ticats, certainly in the first half, was the play of Grover Covington and the Hamilton defense, and they were simply outstanding against a tough BC offense.
Everybody knows BC got probably one of the most powerful offense going. They got a lot of weapons to strike you with. They got good running back, good quarterback, and we knew that, you know, it's like we're coming into the Lions' den, and a lot of pressure's on us, and a team that's 1-5, we just got to really get ourselves together and put a lot of pressure on DeWalt.
Grover, are they showing you anything that you didn't expect?
Well, we know that not really. They're going to try to run the ball on us, and they're going to try to go for the big play. And what we have to do is just stay in DeWalt's face the whole night.
Grover, congratulations on an outstanding first half.
Well, we got to keep it up. Thank you.
And to get this third quarter underway, Don Sweet will kick off for the Hamilton Ticats. Deep to receive for the BC Lions, Keevan Jenkins and Darnell Clash. Keevan Jenkins takes it at his own 20. To the 25, 30, 35, up to about the 37 or 38-yard line. This is how the points were put on the board in the first half. A single point for Hamilton on a missed field goal, and then Louis Pasaglia counted with a field goal for the BC Lions, make it 3-1. And the only touchdown in the first half came from Keevan Jenkins, a 1-yard rush to put BC Lions in front of the Hamilton Ticats 10-1 as the third quarter gets underway. Roy DeWalt, at quarterback. First and 10 Lions from their own 37. DeWalt over the middle to a wide open Ron Robinson. Robinson fumbles the ball. Intercepted by Hamilton. Reggie Mathis. What a strange turn of events, but full marks to the Hamilton Ticats.
What happened on that play is they went to Fernandez one-on-one, and the safety went away from the middle of the field, and Robinson came right down the middle of the field, and the safety couldn't get back over there in time to get to the football.
Ron Robinson had a gain of 47 yards before Reggie Mathis took the fumble ball out of his hands, and now Hamilton are 1st and 10 on their own 46. Dave Grappy pulls his way to the 50-yard line. Andre Jones over there to make the stop.
What a turn of events for Hamilton. See Roy DeWalt one more time. Robinson went down the middle of the field, and the safety man, the cornerback on one side, got on Fernandez, and on the other side, the safety went to the formation, and Robinson just split it. Brought it wide open down the middle.
2nd and 6, Hamilton. Hobart fires incomplete. Mel Bird got a piece of it, almost coming up with the interception. And there's the man of the moment for the Hamilton Ticats, Reggie Mathis. Great anticipation in scooping up the ball even before it hit the ground.
One of these times I think that the BC Lions are going to go after Sweet. He's been kicking a little bit slow. This time they have the return on, and they're going back to set up the blocking for the return.
Good punt by Sweet, taken by Sandusky. And he's pulled down after crossing the 17-yard line by Leo Ezrin. And that brings on the BC Lions offense. They lead 10-1, 13 minutes and 18 seconds remaining to play in the 3rd quarter here at BC Place Stadium.
I wonder if they'll come back to that play. I think their thinking is to try to get a one-on-one on Fernandez, just all by himself. And if that safety goes to the other side, Robinson's wide open coming down that middle.
DeWalt fires over the middle to John Henry White. And John Henry White gets to the 37-yard line, runs into Reggie Mathis.
John Henry White's star has been a little bit diminished since the arrival of Kevan Jenkins and all the good work that he's done this year, but John Henry will give you a full day's work. He's an excellent blocker, good pass receiver, great team man.
An honest ball player.
Tripping, BC number 65. 1st down over.
Oh, those kind of penalties will certainly nullify any sort of offensive drive the BC Lions might be putting together. 1st and 20 for the Lions from their own 18. DeWalt under pressure. And finally sacked. Mitchell Price in to make the stop for the Ticats, and that pleases the head coach.
You'll see that front four again now. There's only 4 guys that are coming there against that big offensive line, but they're putting that pressure on. They used their contained positions that time. Price got in there and penetrated. He had to step up inside. Sauve was up inside there. They're just doing a good job, that's all. If they could just give some rest in that offense to do something, they'd be pretty tough tonight.
2nd and 24. DeWalt over the middle, almost picked off. Zambiazzi leaping up to get a hand on the ball, but unable to hang on. And out come the Bluebirds. Not happy with the play of the BC Lions offense, directed by Roy DeWalt. The Lions fans don't have a whole lot of patience.
You know, somebody forgot to tell Hamilton that the BC Lions are 5-1 and they're the toughest team in the country. Hamilton's coming in there and saying, you got to prove it to me. I'm from Missouri, and they're just taking it right to him.
Howard Fields, the lone man back for Hamilton on this punt. Casaglia just inside the end zone. And too long in getting the play underway. So now Casaglia will get the punt a little deeper in the end zone.
Well, I don't know that that was a mix-up in terms of the formation, and I'll tell you in just a moment after the
Time count violation, BC number 5.
It looked like the Hamilton Tiger Cats really stacked up with the intent of coming after it, and the BC Lions had to change their offensive alignment in order to block everybody, and they just took too much time.
Bisaglia 5 yards deep. Good high punt. Fields takes it. Inside his 55-yard line. Bennett brought it down. 11:34 to play in the third quarter. BC Lions leading Hamilton 10-1.
Weekend, 1 week from tomorrow, World Cup Soccer live from Costa Rica, the U.S. Open live from New York. It all starts at 1 Eastern.
You know, BC Lions should be having
That's 1 week tomorrow on Sports Weekend. Looking forward to working with my old friend Graham Leggett on that Canada-Costa Rica game from Costa Rica. 1st and 10 Hamilton from the BC Lions 54-yard line. Poncho James getting down to the BC Lions 51. Tyrone Cruz in to make the stop. Second and 7 now for the Ticats. Spot the ball on the BC Lions 51. Pressure gets away from Hebler and then fires into a bunch of red shirts, almost picked off by Mel Bird. Pass was intended for Rocky DiPietro.
See Hebler come here and take the inside of this guy and force Hobart. But Hobart did an excellent job. The offensive tackle steps to the outside with the intent of shutting off Hebler's rush from the outside. Hebler fooled him, went to the inside. Actually, Hobart did an outstanding job of evading him.
Punting situation. Sweet kicking for the sidelines. A good punt by Don Sweet. Goes out of bounds at the 12-yard lines and nullifies any sort of return on the part of Darnell Class, which is exactly what it was intended to do. So the BC Lions now 1st and 10 from their own 12. They lead 10-1, 10 minutes and 29 seconds remaining to play in the third quarter. Intended for Keevan Jenkins, and the early indication from the Hamilton players is that Hamilton has recovered. Ben Zambiazzi jumping on the loose ball for the Ticats, and they got some field position.
What a big break as you see the wall on the reverse pivot right here. He looked like he put the ball right where he should. But Keevan Jenkins didn't come up with it. Zambiazzi, always the opportunist, was right on top of it.
And now 1st and 10 for Hamilton from the Lions 13. Hobart intended for Stabler, incomplete. He was being covered by Darnell Clash.
There's Zambiazzi coming off the field, and he's usually at the right place at the right time. He's got a nose for leather.
Well, he had 32 tackles, 1 quarterback sack, and 1 interception coming into this game. He can now add 1 fumble recovery to that total.
Hobart had the right idea on that individual pass to Stapler. If this was a poorly thrown ball, it would have been a touchdown.
2nd and 10, Ticats from the Lions 13. Hobart fires. And in and out of the arms of the intended receiver, Ron Ingram. Leo, that was a catchable ball.
Al Bruno thought so, too. Al was shaking his head and saying, what do we have to do in order to catch that ball? Everybody, and I say everybody in this league, is using the pick play where the inside receiver goes out and tries to turn on the outside defender, and the outside receiver comes in and gets open, and that time the ball was thrown where it should have been caught. Watch him come in here on the inside. Look at 17 going out there and trying to pick. When you do that, Gooch has to go around the pass receiver that's coming from the inside. That time Wayne Lee almost made it good.
This time, Don Sweet field goal attempt is good. So the Hamilton Ticats put 3 points on the board. They trail by 4, 10-6.
Labor Day, Monday, September the 2nd, a special evening edition of CFL 85, the Concord trying to get revenge against Hamilton.
That's the Labor Day matchup, Montreal and Hamilton. You're looking at some of the private boxes here at BC Place Stadium, an ideal place from which to watch any sporting event that takes place under the dome, whether it be football, baseball, soccer, air-conditioned comfort from the private boxes. Well, following that field goal from Don Sweet, Hamilton Ticats will kick off. They trail by 6, 10-4, 9:09 remaining to play in the third quarter. Van Jenkins got his own 25. And he runs a long way, finally forced out of bounds at the 41 by Paul Bennett.
Watch Wayne Lee come out to the outside and try to get in front of Gooch here. Ingram just hesitates and then comes back into the inside. The ball is thrown to him, but to no avail. But that's what a pick play is right there. Lee goes out the inside, makes Gooch go around him, and then the ball is thrown to the inside. And the officials, they're not going to call the pick play unless there's contact made. As long as you can make that defensive back go around you, you're doing your job.
First and 10, Lions from their own 41, and DeWalt fired to Robinson in and out of his arms. He couldn't hang on. Don Matthews looking on, a little disgusted. Roy DeWalt has to wonder what's going on.
Okay, Steve, the natives are getting a little restless. This is too good a football team to be bogged down like this.
The natives have always been restless. They booed Jerry Taggy. They booed Joe Papa, and then now they're booing Roy DeWalt. This time he completes it to John Henry White. And he had to get to the 51 for the first down. He's about 2 or 3 yards short.
Watch Ben Zambiazzi from his middle linebacker position. Number 31. He drops back, locates the quarterback's eyes. The ball is thrown, and boom, look at that hit right there. When he hits you like that, he'll knock about 3 points off your IQ.
He did that. Third down and 2 for the Lions, and that brings on Louis Pasaglia. Good punt by Pasaglia. Paul Bennett out to the 20-yard line. Larry Crawford, the first man downfield for the Lions to make the tackle.
Boy, you know, you just get the impression that Paul Bennett has run one too many. He holds the CFL career record for most punt return yardage at 4,942 yards, and that is a lot of yardage, especially when you got about 12 guys in different colored jerseys coming after you all the time.
And coming into this game tonight, he had returned 16 for 84 yards for a 5.3 average. First and 10 Ticats from their own 21. They trail 10-4. Poncho James. Mel Bird in to make the stop. And the indication is fumble. The BC Lions have recovered.
Just a simple handoff in there to Poncho. He goes in and it looks like he's still struggling to get ahead, Don. When you're struggling to get ahead, the referee's not going to blow that whistle and the ball comes loose. And it's a legitimate fumble.
Andre Jones had one interception coming into this game. That's his first fumble recovery of the season.
No, Al Bruno doesn't feel that way. Al is really incensed over the play. He thought probably that the whistle should have been blown.
Yeah, we've got an injured player down on the field.
That's Leonhard, number 54. He's a good one. He's one of those stalwarts in that offensive line.
That was one of the big problems for the BC Lions under Vic Rapp, was consistency along the offensive line. But towards the end of Rapp's tenure with the BC Lions, they certainly straightened that out when people like Leonhard began to develop. And certainly under Don Matthews, the offensive line has matured. First and 10 for the Lions. DeWalt over the middle. Complete to Robinson, and this time he manages to hang on after being hit. Leo Ezerins gave him a pretty good pop, but it wasn't hard enough to jar loose the ball.
Well, it's a passing down, 2nd and 8. But they've got to start giving the ball to Jenkins. I know he fumbled on a play, but the Hamilton line's getting tired in there, and they're giving up some of their rush zones.
DeWalt waiting for Fernandez to get open, and he drops it. Incomplete. Mark Streeter was covering Fernandez on the play.
Well, in defense of Roy DeWalt on that play right there, he hung that ball right over Fernandez's shoulder, and it was in Fernandez's hands, and Fernandez won't miss very many of these. Watch that ball go right into his hands. Would have been a good catch, but it was certainly catchable.
El Bruno, he's a sigh of relief, but it brings on Louis Pasaglia well within his range. He'll get this field goal away from the 27-yard line. It's hard to tell. 1 point on the board. BC Lions in front of Hamilton, 11-8.
Tomorrow on Sports Weekend, exclusive coverage of the Dutch Grand Prix World Cup Soccer live from Honduras. It all begins at noon Eastern.
Recording.
That's Sports Weekend tomorrow, the Dutch Grand Prix and World Cup Soccer from Tegucigalpa. First and 10 for the Hamilton Ticats from their own 35-yard line, following that single point. It makes the score 11-4 in favor of the BC Lions. Hobart intending that for Ron Ingram, incomplete. Darnell Clash defending on the play.
Well, pretty good indication that that's going to be a good, strong offensive line that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have is when that BC Lion front four comes after them and they keep it straight, they block them pretty well. Now, there's a little confusion on some of their stunts because they haven't worked together that long, but man on man, they're pretty tough.
Second and 10 for the Ticats. Hobart rifles one intended for Rocky DiPietro. So once again, the Hamilton offense comes up empty. And that brings on Don Sweet. Good punt by Sweet. Forces Darnell Clash to the 25. Up to the 40. It's the 45 before he's finally brought down. Steve Jackson downfield along with Jason Riley. Put the stop on Darnell Clash.
It almost looks like Don Sweet is getting better as the game progresses because he hasn't had enough practice in the week under game-like conditions, and the more he kicks, the better he gets. The last time he angled it out of bounds almost perfectly, and that time he had some good distance on it.
There's a little life left in those legs yet.
Oh, yeah, he's a fine person, too.
First and 10 for the Lions from their own 46. They lead 11-4. Keevan Jenkins up the middle and into Hamilton territory. Gets to the 53-yard line before being stopped by Mark Streeter.
Well, when Keevan is running, they're moving.
We said at the beginning of the game that that's what the BC Lions would have to do.
Just a reverse pivot. Keyman is great at finding that open daylight. Vince Lombardi one time wrote a book, Run to Daylight. Well, Keyman must have read it.
First and 10 Lions from the Hamilton 53. Keyman again. This time down inside the 50-yard line, down to about the 48. Mitchell Price there to make the stop.
Good 5 yards, 4.5.
Well, I know that's the kind of ball control game that Don Matthews loves. Mix it up. Run, pass. Of course, any coach would love that kind of game, wouldn't they?
As long as you got the ball, you're not in trouble.
DeWalt wants to go long again to Fernandez. And again, Fernandez can't hang on. Les Brown covering on the play for the Ticats.
Well, it's difficult to tell because he had his back to us here, whether Fields at the last moment got his hand in there, or Bennett, one of the two. I guess it was Bennett that got his hand in there, but we'll have a look at it right here. The ball is thrown deep enough. I guess Les Brown may have just been enough of a distraction there with the hand up that he didn't get a good look at it. Brown's down on one knee out there right now. He must have got jolted when he went up there.
There have been so many times, Leo, when Mervyn Fernandez has made those passes look so simple. He goes so high, and he has great leaping ability, and he's able to hang on. But twice tonight, we've seen him drop passes that he would normally catch.
Yeah, it's really hard to figure with a guy like him because he doesn't drop that football. And we saw him last week here in the same stadium catch more touchdown passes and just take the ball away from defenders. On that one right there, I think he could have got up high enough to take the ball away from Les Brown, but he didn't. There's Vic Jonesy, the trainer for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Been with him a long time on your right.
Well, that'll be a major milestone for Paul Bennett. He should break it on this one. If Louis Passaga gets it to him. There's Bennett. Well, he's got the yard. John Henry White downfield to make the stop on Paul Bennett, but not before he picked up the yard. And he's going to hang on to the football. Well, he should.
Oh,
that's quite a mark.
You can say that again for all you guys out there that do any jogging. You know how far it is to go 3.5 miles. Well, this guy's gone 3.5 miles with 12 guys after him.
Remember, he needs 1 yard. There it is. 5,000, over 5,000 yards in punt returns in the CFL. One of the great punt returners of all time.
I might be tempted if I was him to go to the sidelines, give that ball to Al Bruno and say, I'm through. I've had enough.
First and 10, Ticats. Hobart complete to Stapler, but he was out of bounds when he made the catch. And again, Hobart took a pretty good knock from that BC Lions defense. They've been coming at him all night. Remember, he came into this game with a sore arm. Looks like he may have hurt his thumb.
I think you'll see as he delivers the football right here, his hand hit the helmet. Boom. Right there, he hits 58. Got to get out of the way.
It's Jason Riley. Second and 10, Ticats. This time, Hobart does not get away from that rush. Kevin Konar in to put the stop on Hobart.
Well, we said before the ball game that they had to give the defense some rest. They had to move that football along. The defense is getting a lot of work here now, and I think right now the BC Lions are about ready to take it over. Watch Parker come in there on the stunt, opens the thing for Kevin Konar. Watch Kevin get in there, number 31, makes the tackle. They're running some pretty good stunts.
Don Sweet will exercise his 37-year-old legs one more time.
That's
Good
a low
punt.
kick. This could be returned.
Darnell Class. And he made his moves right into the arms of the Hamilton tackler.
That's a darn good job by that Hamilton team of covering kicks. because that guy is nothing but dangerous. And that on a low trajectory kick where there was plenty of space in between he and the return, the cover man, for him to get something started, but they stayed in their lanes and made the play.
It may have been a little low, but it was long. It was 47 yards and a limited pass to a 9-yard return. So the BC Lions are first and 10 from the Hamilton 47. Good field position. DeWalt over the middle, complete to Keevan Jenkins. Jenkins down to the 37-yard line where he runs head-on into Reggie Mathis.
All three of those linebackers have taken turns tonight and really putting some hits on those guys catching that ball coming out of the backfield. A good linebacker looks for those people crossing in his area. When that ball is in the air, he goes to them and makes something happen.
Inches to go. Minute 52 seconds remaining in the third quarter. BC Lions leading the Hamilton Ticats 11-4.
I haven't seen Roy DeWalt do that yet this year, but a play-action pass on a situation like this, second down and just inches, is a great play because they can make it on third down.
Quarterback sneak, but a flag goes down.
Well, that's conservative as it can be when you've only got 6 inches to go. Tommy Clements would have come off a fake right there and thrown for a touchdown.
Illegal motion.
Oh, that hurts. Now he's got to go out.
Procedure, BC number 90. Second down repeated.
Now he must go after the pass. That's Hebler that's in there, I think, at the left offensive end on the short yardage unit that prematurely jumped offside.
It was Rick Klassen that was called against, and now Keevan Jenkins gets the call. Down to the 15-yard line. Donovan Rose. And if Rose hadn't gotten to Keevan Jenkins, he could have gotten a touchdown. 26-yard gain.
Just a reverse pivot. Excellent block there by Illebrun. Watch, Leonhard's out there in front. Wilson's out there in front, and look at him high step.
Grover Covington over to make the stop on Jenkins.
Jenkins looks like a road runner on that one. He started out to his right and said, oh, no room there, so he changed direction. By the time he went back, the penetration was there, though.
Pick up the 2 on that last play. 2nd and 8 now. And the BC Lions have got the ball down to the 14-yard line. And the Hamilton Ticats, 28 seconds remaining to play in the third quarter. BC in front, 11-4. With the scoreboard clock here at BC Place Stadium. We're told it should be 52 seconds instead of 28 seconds. And that gets a rise out of the fans. They haven't had much to get excited about. 34,000 in attendance here at BC Place Stadium tonight.
Bobby Ackles called it just exactly correctly yesterday. I think he's going to have about 37 to 38. He said, no, I said more like 34.
And speaking of Bobby Ackles, congratulations are in order. This is his 161st game as the general manager of the BC Lions, and that surpasses the old mark held by Herb Capozzi when he was GM of the BC Lions.
That's all the way from water boy to general manager. Started out with his club as a water boy years and years ago. Went through the equipment room thing to the assistant to the finally the general manager's job in it. Good guy.
He's done a great job in putting together the BC Lions. Had to make some very difficult decisions early in his career in terms of the firing of a couple of coaches. But he has finally put together a combination that he thinks will garner the BC Lions their first Grey Cup since 1964. 34,351. Stadium seats close to 60,000 for football. But they haven't had 60,000 in here since last season.
While we're waiting here, we've got to say that this program is copyright and strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
Well, the cheerleaders enjoyed that. Don Matthews conferring with the backup quarterback for the BC Lions, Tim Cowan. And the referee, Ross Perrier, is conferring with the timekeepers up in the press box. There seems to be some discrepancy as to exactly how much time is remaining in the third quarter. Is it 28 seconds or 52 seconds?
I'll point out that Tim Cowan, in the first game against Hamilton this year, passed for 387 yards with 5 touchdowns. That's a pretty good batting average for anybody. Roy DeWalt got hurt in that ball game. That's one of the games that this Hamilton team had knocked out the starting quarterback. Cowan went in there, and boy, they were wishing that he didn't go in there. Cowan played for the University of Washington in 1981 in the Rose Bowl when they played against the University of Iowa.
Well, the referee is explaining to Don Matthews that they will go with the 28 seconds. Apparently, Al Bruno agreed, and Don Matthews has agreed. So, 28 seconds is all the remaining to be played now in the third quarter. BC in front of Hamilton, 11-4. BC with a 2nd and 8 situation from the Hamilton 14.
Well, both teams have had enough time to get their best play and their best defense in here.
DeWalt sacked by the Hamilton front four, led by Mitchell Price and Leon Liskowitz. Mitchell Price had 4 quarterback sacks coming into this game.
The thing that just amazes me is you see Mitchell Price knock John Roper right back and watch that whole defensive line, the front four of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, just collapse that big offensive line of the BC Lions. The thing that amazes me is that they've got that much left at this part of the ball game, as much as they've played.
That's Reggie Mappus, the injured Hamilton Ticat. Appears to be in the hand area. That's been the big concern about Bruno, the amount of time that the Hamilton defense has had to spend on the field. It doesn't matter how good your defense is, Leo. Eventually, they're going to get worn down.
Well, that's what I said at the beginning of the program, because they put so much emphasis on 4 guys doing most of their up-front stuff, and they cover with their linebackers, because they can't send linebackers and defensive backs and take the opportunity, or take the chance, I should say, of getting isolated one-on-one with Fernandez and some of those guys. I called Roper before, John Roper. It's Gerald Roper.
He'll forgive you. If he doesn't, he'll sit on you.
I just wanted to clear it up because I looked at him before practice. He's about 6'3", about 270.
Ed Ganavakis has got into the ball game, replacing Reggie Mappus. The BC Lions 3rd and 6. They spot the ball at the 27-yard line, where Leo Pisaglia will attempt the field goal, and it is good. So the BC Lions go in front of the Hamilton Ticats by a count of 14-4 as the fourth quarter is about to get underway. BC Place Stadium in Vancouver, where Louis Pisaglia kicks off after that field goal. And he gets it to Howard Fields at the 20-yard line. And Fields almost got to the 25, but then went back to the 20. Mark DuBois downfield to make the tackle for the Lions. Well, there's the statistical story out of after 3 quarters of play here at BC Place Stadium, and I think the difference for the BC Lions in the 3rd quarter anyway was the rushing of Kevan Jenkins. They certainly increased their rushing total, 110 yards. A balanced attack is what Don Matthews was looking for, and he got it in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10, Ticats, the ball on their own 20. Hobart almost had it picked off by Keith Gooch.
Well, Keith Gooch timed that and played it just about as well as you could play it. Hobart rolled out to his left. Looked like he had Ingram wide open.
Scoring summary in the 1st quarter. Missed field goal resulted in a single point for Hamilton, and then Louis Pasaglia picked up a field goal. Touchdown for Kevan Jenkins. That coming in the 2nd quarter to give BC the 10-1 lead. And then in the 3rd quarter, field goal from both teams. Hobart elects to run, has the 1st down.
Hobart showed some speed that time, but I think he was encouraged a little bit by number 99 being right, breathing down his throat. See him go back right there, and the whole defensive line came, plus about 2 other people. Now watch number 99 pick it up right here. There's Konar. You can't see it, but number 99, Nick Hebler, was right behind him. Just give him that little added emphasis to jump out there and get the 1st down.
Ticats, ball on their own 37. And Hobart runs into the arms of Rick Classic. Leo, we have an injury report on number 25, Scott Colley of the Hamilton Ticats. Apparently has a torn muscle under his right foot. He will not see action for the remainder of the game. Hobart intends for Ingram, and Darnell Flash may have been covering too tightly on the play. Flags go down.
Well, that's the one right there that I think gives the referees the nightmares. Right after we get the call here. We'll
Pass interference, BC number 1. 1st down.
Flash came across, came over his back. He got his hand on the ball before it got there. But the contact was made, and the officials interpreted as not giving the receiver the full chance of catching that football by knocking him out of the way.
1st and 10 for the Ticats on their own 46. Poncho James taking that pass from Hobart. Forced out of bounds at the 49-yard line. 12:57 remaining to play in the game. BC in front of Hamilton 14-4.
We're talking about Scott Colley having a pull muscle on the bottom of his foot. That could be pretty serious. The tough part of that thing is that last year he missed the entire season due to a broken leg. So he's had his share.
12 minutes and 57 seconds remaining to play in the game. BC leading Hamilton 14-4. We'll be right back.
CFL 85 returns tomorrow afternoon. The improving Stampeders off the big win in BC play in Winnipeg. Kickoff is 3 Eastern.
Okay, Don and Ron, don't go to bed yet. We know you got to work tomorrow. The Calgary-Winnipeg game, but this one is not over. 14-4 in favor of the BC Lions. And we'll take a look at this one again.
Rocky DiPietro will come right across the middle, and the blitz is on. Everybody coming right here, and the quarterback just looks up and just spots him coming across the middle. Nobody in there. Linebacker on this side of the safety on this side. Martin tried to chase him across there, but there was all kind of opening in the middle right there to get the ball to him. And Hobart very alertly got it to him.
And there was a face mask altercation on the play, so Hamilton's first and 10 from the BC Lions 30-yard line. Hobart in the arms of Nick Hebler, but there's a flag down on the play. I'll tell you, when Nick Hebler gets you in his grasp, you don't get away too often.
Hamilton, number 58. Decline, second down.
And on top of that, Hamilton pick up a holding penalty. The ball is back at the Hamilton 47-yard line. Second and 17 for Hamilton. Hobart looking for Stapler. Incomplete. Knocked away by Keith Gooch.
Watch number 77, Gray, as he comes in there. They've got two people on him right there. They respect what he did in that first game over there in Hamilton when he was the outstanding defensive player of the week for his efforts against Hamilton. They're going to make sure that he doesn't get in there tonight. The amazing thing is when they send 4, Hamilton blocks them pretty good. But, boy, they've been sending 6 and 7 out there, and you just can't block them all.
Don Sweet angling the ball into the corner, and he gets a good bounce. He bounces out of bounds at the 10-yard line. So good punt from Don Sweet, who's been a very busy man for the Hamilton Ticats in this game tonight.
Well, I'm glad to see Sweet starting to kick the ball and get some accuracy on it. He's come over there and filled in for Ruoff when Ruoff got hurt. He's been a great performer for the old Alouettes and for the Concord.
First and 10 Lions from their own 10-yard line. They lead 14-4. 11:36 to play in the game. DeWalt, quick pass, complete to Robinson. And Robinson battles his way up to the 17-yard line. Leo Ezerin's there to make the stop for the Ticats.
You know, going into this game tonight, Don Sweet was third in the all-time field goal list. He was 4 ahead of Lou Pasaglia. Lou is closing the distance on him with a field goal tonight, but we've got 2 guys out here tonight performing as kickers that are part of the history and part of the record books in the CFL.
Steve Van Jenkins got the first down. Donovan Rose forces Jenkins out of bounds. Matthews trying to make like a seagull and clap his wings there, or what?
Yeah. I don't know what that signal could be.
Could be an indication to tuck that ball in. First and 10 Lions on their own 27. DeWalt dumps it off to Pankratz. Flag goes down on the play. What's the odds it's another holding call?
Holding, BC number 61. First down repeated.
Holding on Illebron that time, and boy, you just can't afford when you're down there in that part of the field, if you have a chance to get a first down, to take one of these holding penalties. Hamilton's still coming with that big front 4, and that's about all, and they're giving the BC Lions much as they want.
First and 20 for the Lions from their own 17. Van Jenkins. Les Brown over to make the stop for Hamilton. That was a gain of 11. So it'll be 2nd and 9 for BC as they try to keep this drive alive. Dumps it over the middle. T-Man Jenkins close to the first down. Reggie Mathis makes the tackle for Hamilton.
Well, if they give him the lay down, that's definitely a first down. They're moving the sticks. Watch number 31, Ben Zambiazzi, go back, plants his foot, sees the play start, then covers for it. Got a shoulder into the guy, but was not balanced enough to get him down, but he'll be around there striking at people.
First and 10 Lions from their own 38 to Walt. Puts it up. Complete to Merv Fernandez. And that should be very close to the first down. It is indeed another first down for the Lions.
That's a patented Fernandez catch, making it look easy when it's a very, very difficult catch. Merv goes out, stops. Braun just can't get back to him. Up in the air and says, I missed a couple tonight. I got to show you I can still catch it.
Roy DeWalt good on 15 of 23 passes tonight for 153 yards. T-Man Jenkins. Flag goes down. Tipped up by Les Brown as he got to the original line of scrimmage. Holding the call again.
Holding. BC number 54. Decline. Second down.
T-Van coming back to this side and then returning back over here. This Hamilton defense aren't that dumb. They've seen that happen before. We didn't get a chance to look at that, but Hamilton has seen that action before. They were waiting for that
Long ball, and again, Mervyn Fernandez cannot hang on. He was open, the ball was there, but he just couldn't hang on.
Well, he's got to be in a state of shock, and so is that man standing on the sidelines, Donnie Matthews. Shake it off, Mervyn. You'll catch 1,000 before your career is over. Forget about it. Boy, he is just striding down there and just runs right past Lester Brown. Reaches out, has it in his hand, and then in his intent to pull it down, loses track of it.
And he can't believe it. He can catch his helmet, but he can't catch the ball tonight. Louis Pasacki with the punt. Angles it off to the left. And it goes out of bounds. So with 7:52 remaining to play in the game, the BC Lions lead the Hamilton Ticats by a count of 14-4.
Les, you can call him Lester.
7:52 remaining to play in the game. BC in front of Hamilton by 10 points, 14-4. And you have to wonder what the problem is with Mervyn Fernandez tonight, because a couple of catches earlier in the game and the one that he's just missed, and all of a sudden the BC Lions stats look a little different. As it is, 233 to 157 in favor of the BC Lions. It has not been an offensive ball game here at BC Place Stadium tonight. Defenses are dominating. First and 10 Hamilton from their own 27. Hobart intending that for Wayne Lee, number 17. Incomplete.
Oh, no question, Mervyn feels bad about this, but he's a pro. And the best he can do is just like getting thrown off that horse, get right back up on it again, and don't let it bother you. As I said before, he'll make a lot of catches before his career is over, and he can't be worrying about one that he dropped. He's got to be worried about the next one he's going to catch.
Second and 10 Hamilton from their own 27. Hobart again looking for Lee, and again it's incomplete. Andre Jones covering on the play.
No, it doesn't almost seem fair. The BC Lions are bringing 5 and 6 defenders every time against that Hamilton offensive line. And then when you turn it around, Hamilton's defense are only sending 4 95% of the time. And they're getting there a lot, too. You couple this with the fact that that offense is not giving them much rest, and they're doing a real good job tonight defensively.
That pretty well tells the story. This will be the 11th punt for Don Sweet. Darnell Clash just inside his own 50. Gets into Hamilton territory, down to the Hamilton 50-yard line. BC leading Hamilton 14-4, 7:07 to play.
Next Saturday on Sports Weekend Live, the U.S. Open from New York City, the Breeders' Stakes from Woodbine, and the Canadian Derby from Edmonton. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern.
That's next weekend on Sports Weekend. Tennis in New York and horse racing from Woodbine and Northlands Park in Edmonton. 7:07 remaining to play in the game. BC in front of Hamilton by 10. BC Lions first and 10 from the Hamilton 49. Van Jenkins. Big hole. Jenkins down inside the 35-yard line before Paul Bennett brought him down. Gain of 16 yards on the play. Jenkins has rushed 21 times for 120 yards. First and 10 Lions from the Ticats 33. Fernandez complete to John Pancras. Pancras brought down at the 10. Les Brown there to make the stop and prevent a sure touchdown.
And you know what made that play so successful was that run by Van Jenkins the play before. Because that defensive line was a lot more conservative, looking to make sure that there wasn't a run before they sold out on that pass rush. And look at the time that DeWalt got. And when you give a quarterback that much time, he can pinpoint it in there, and Pancras gets it all the way down to about the 12-yard line.
23-yard pickup. First and 10 Lions. And they started from the 11-yard line. That time DeWalt goes nowhere.
It kind of makes you wonder. They get down to the 12-yard line, and they're in pretty good shape down there, and he goes back with a drop-back pass. Seems to me you could give that ball to Jenkins when you get in that 3-yard territory down there and see if he can't get 10 yards in 3 tries, or not get back and take a loss then.
A loss of about a half a yard. DeWalt just puts it up. Fernandez hung on.
Well, they finally hooked up for that touchdown, but unfortunately, Roy DeWalt never saw that ball come down. David Savoy was right on top of number 88. See Roy go back, gets set, and there's Sauvé, hits him, and he's down. He never sees that ball caught. So there's a guy that's going to catch it. He's not going to miss anymore. He said, how did I do that time? That kind of made up for things, didn't Coach? Coach will smile and say, you're okay.
Busaglia taps the point after. And as always with Louis Busaglia, it's good as Fernandez continues to get the congratulations from his teammates as BC go in front of Hamilton 21-4.
Now watch number 24, Les Brown. He fakes Les Brown to the outside and then gets the inside away from Les Brown and then just goes down and runs away from him. That's all. Just long strides it right away from him. I think Les Brown may have even pulled a muscle. He stopped up down there and didn't recover. See Mervin now smiling after missing a couple of those balls. He's caught one for a touchdown. He said, I'm back on track again right now. He's over there campaigning on the sideline. How'd you do it? Well, I just reached up that time and kept my eye on it.
Probably just a case of concentration when it comes right down to it. Macho James takes it at his own 1. Gets out to the 20-yard line, where Hamilton will scrimmage 1st and 10. Bruce Barnett downfield to make a stop for the BC Lions.
Oh, you see Mr. Cowan while loosening up his arm on the sideline. This may indicate that Roy got hit a little bit harder than we thought. Would be a bad idea to get this guy in there and give him a little time anyhow. He had 5 touchdown passes the last time he played against Hamilton early in the season. He's ready to play. Must have some confidence.
1st and 10, Hamilton from their own 22. Poncho James. It's out to the 27-yard line. Roy DeWalt shaken up on that touchdown pass to Merv Fernandez. He was knocked out of the first Hamilton game this year. In the early going, Tim Cowan had to come on and relief. Hobart fires complete to Ingram. And Ingram has the first down with about 8 or 9 yards to spare.
Went over there and just hung right on the sideline, and Hobart rolled out and got him the ball.
Hamilton in their hurry-up offense now. They have to hurry up. They trail 21-4, 4:12 to play. Again, quick pass to Ingram, and they roll it complete at the 51-yard line.
He's making some pretty good catches. He came down there and was alert enough to get that foot on the inside before he fell out of bounds.
Needed to get to the 52 for the first down.
But should Roy DeWalt leave this ball game and Cowan go win the ball game, it'll be a continuation of Hamilton knocking out every quarterback that they played this year.
2nd and 1, Ticats. Poncho James, and James will not get the first down. Larry Crawford there to meet him before he got to the line of scrimmage.
Well, there, let me make a little point for the quarterback sneak when you're only a yard away from it. When you step back 3 yards into the backfield, and if there's any penetration there, this is what happens. You don't get that first down. Now, when you're a 210-pound quarterback and you got a yard to go, you've got a lot better chance to get behind that center and those 2 guards and push it ahead for that 1 yard. I've been waiting all night to prove that point.
Good point. Hobart passes complete to Rocky DiPietro. DiPietro gets to the 45-yard line. Mel Bird over to make the tackle.
Red flag is down and it's on the field. Now, I don't know what that's going to indicate. It usually means a little bit of holding, but apparently not. Might be Hebler hitting Hobart late.
Major foul. Spearing, BC 99.
Now you're going to see Hebler, number 99, come in on Hobart, and after Hobart delivers the ball, sticks him there pretty good. But I don't, boys will be boys. Well, there was a long time that you were taught to do that every time you get a shot at the quarterback. Now, and for good reason, they're protecting the quarterback.
It's a good rule and a good call. Poncho James gets the call from Hobart. 3 minutes remaining to play in the game. BC lead the Hamilton Ticats 21-4.
And just a reminder, be with us after the game as our CBC commentators will select the Carling O'Keefe Game Stars.
Well, defensively, it certainly won't be tough to pick Carling O'Keefe game stars, but we'll certainly have to put our heads together and come up with the offensive game star. Complete to Rocky DiPietro. He gets down inside the 5-yard line. Good pass by Hobart, right on the money. So it'll be 1st and goal to go for the Ticats. A 23-yard gain.
They come with the blitz from both sides. Konar and Jackson both coming from the outside. And just as soon as Hobart saw the blitz coming, Rocky DiPietro slanted to the inside and he hit him.
1st and goal, Poncho James. Hamilton Ticats indicate touchdown, and touchdown it is. Hamilton get their first major of the game, coming with 2 minutes and 29 seconds remaining to play. That makes it 21-10.
You see the ball handed off to Pancho James, and he starts to his right and then spots an opening over the left guard, just veers back in there and hurdles into the end zone head first and gets the touchdown. This guy doesn't have to be ashamed of anything tonight. This football team played pretty well with a young quarterback with a couple of bangs, not completely himself, and defense played an excellent game. Actually, they made what everybody thinks is the best football team in Canada look a little bit shabby.
They've come up with a superb effort defensively, but once again, the inconsistency of their offense has cost them.
Yeah, it's going to take them a while. They've got an entire new offensive line.
But then again, the BC Lions have nothing to write home about offensively.
Well, the BC Lions have no excuse. They've got a bunch of veterans in that offensive line that have been together for a long time. They've got the best, I think, group of receivers in the whole league in terms of danger. 2 quarterbacks that they can call upon to get in there and do a job, and a good running game. They should be more productive than they were tonight. So you got to give the credit to the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense.
Don Sweet's point after is good. So that makes the score 21-11 with 2 minutes and 29 seconds remaining to play. Al Bruno talking to his troops. And you go for the short kickoff here. You need possession of the ball.
Well, they got... See Pancho, number 34, just veer in there, see the opening, and then hurl himself head first in the end zone. Jackson, number 37, came in there low, but didn't get enough of him to stop him from getting in the end zone.
Well, there seems to be some indecision on the part of the Hamilton Ticats. Once again, they don't have enough players on the field. Rocky DiPietro running out to the huddle. That's all the Hamilton Ticats have managed against the BC Lions in their last 3 games. They haven't beaten the BC Lions since 1981.
Well, they've got nothing to lose here by going for the onside kick. Total points aren't going to mean that much to them in this football game, and they've got to try to get the football back with just 2:29 left.
If anybody can kick it short, the veteran Don Sweet can.
There it is.
But the BC Lions played it perfectly. Kevin Konar knew it was coming, and he took it on the second hop and hung on.
Well, Kevin Konar is having a great year this year. Canadian linebacker is one of the better guys in the league.
And Tim Cowan comes in to quarterback the BC Lions, drawing a round of applause from the fans. He gives to Kevan Jenkins.
And this carries on the tradition of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, where the starting quarterback doesn't finish the football game. Not one starting quarterback this year has finished the football game that they've started against this Tiger Cat defense. There's Ben Zambiazzi. He's looking in there, diagnosing the play, saying, where's it at? Coming right up under it and getting it in there and making the play. That's how you play middle linebacker.
Boy, he's definitely a candidate for one of the game stars. Tim Cowan over the middle, complete to John Henry White. And White takes 2 or 3 good pops before he's finally brought down by Ben Zambiazzi. He's hit everything that moves, including the goalpost a couple of times, I'm sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, he will jolt you. Get up and make the tackle, man. That boy.
Great second effort on the part of Zambiazzi.
Yeah, the BC Lions are leading 21-11 with just under 2 minutes to go. And they've got a yard to go for a first down midfield. Kick the football. Keep the lead. That's what they're going to do. Everybody's booing and saying that they should be going for it, but this is their only play. Get it downfield.
Zaglia to Paul Bennett. Takes it at the 12. Gets about 5 yards on the punt return. Out to the 17-yard line where Hamilton will scrimmage first and 10. They trail 21-11. A minute and 33 seconds remain to play in the game.
Donnie Matthews standing over there on the sideline said, if you're going to close the gap on us, you're going to earn it. We're not going to fumble a short snap, or we're not going to get caught on a 3rd and 1 situation. We're going to make you come almost the length of the field if you're going to get another touchdown. As a result, they're scrimmaging now from about the 17-yard line. Good play by Matthews.
Hobart firing through 4 red sweaters trying to find Ingram. Andre Jones.
That's what you call confidence. When you're a quarterback back there and you look down the field and there's about 5 red jerseys and your guy is in the middle of them and you say, I can get the ball in there to him. That's confidence. That's what Joe Theismann used to do. Joe would throw about 4 interceptions, but throw about 6 touchdown passes, just enough to win. That's when he was just a freshman in professional football with us in Toronto. Now, since then, he's learned his lesson.
Still doing it.
Oh, he's a little bit more conservative now, a little smarter.
2nd and 10 for the Ticats. That time was intended for Rocky DiPietro. And Andre Jones was covering on the play. And DiPietro's performance afterwards, I think, drew the flag from the official. He just threw Jones to the ground.
Offensive interference, I think.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, number 23, Hamilton. 3rd down.
Oh, Rocky, that wasn't unnecessary roughness, was it? That was necessary.
Born out of frustration, I think.
Well, I got it by the face guard.
And he wasn't about to let go.
But I didn't tell the whole story on that one.
3rd and 19. Hamilton sweeps the punt. Darnell Clash at the Ticat 40. Down to the 35-yard line where BC will have it. 1st and 10. Minute 15 remaining to play in the game. BC in front, 21-11. Don't forget the big game in Winnipeg tomorrow afternoon. Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster will have all the action for you on CBC television.
We'll be home watching them.
And I think we can tell Don to tuck Ronnie in. What do you say?
Oh, Ronnie doesn't have to be tucked in. Don't worry about Ronnie. He'll get his sleep.
Tim Cowan complete to Ryan Potter. And Potter gets it down to the 31-yard line. Reggie Mathis over to make the stop. There's another player who could be in the running for the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Star.
Flash and Hebler.
.102 remaining play. The clock is running. Gowan hoping to find Sandusky. It's intercepted. Zambiazzi laterals it off to Howard Fields, and if Fields fumbles out of bounds, in and out of the arms of Jim Sandusky into Zambiazzi, and then he was wise enough to lateral it off to Howard Fields.
Yeah, that's really an alert play. Collins getting the pressure from that front 4 again. Gets the ball, and it just, I'm not too sure what happened to that ball after it hit, but they're going to give him credit for the interception. Watch Zambiazzi look somebody up here. He's going to hit somebody. They say if they're inside the sideline markers, Zambiazzi will hit him.
36 seconds to play. First and 10, Ticats. Hobart just puts the ball under his arm and runs. He's got the first down with about 8 yards to spare. Unfortunately for Hamilton, also knocks off 10 seconds.
Boy, if the Ticats could be fortunate enough to get on there and score another touchdown, this would be a moral victory for them, staying this close to the BC Lions. In fact, what they've done already is a moral victory, I'd say.
That was a pickup of 18 yards for Hobart on the last play. 26 seconds to play.
Al Bruno would say, moral victory, hell, we're not getting any points for this.
Exactly. Hobart intended that for Rocky DiPietro. Flags go down.
They're going to call Glenn Jackson. They crossed in Glenn Jackson's territory there, and he'd give him a little bit of a stick and knocked him down while the ball was in the air. They say, no, that's not fair. Double penalty.
Penalty against Hamilton, penalty against BC.
Look at Jackson. Jackson saying, wait just 1 second here. If the guy comes to my territory, I can hit him. That's what the coach told me all week.
Holding Hamilton, number 54. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, BC, 37. First down.
Well, the holding call was against Ross Francis, and as Leo pointed out, it was Glenn Jackson who was called on the interference. All of which gives Hamilton a first and 10 from the Lions 32 with 22 seconds to play. Hobart looking long into the end zone, and it's incomplete. Intended for Stapler. But Nelson Martin and Keith Gooch were covering on the play. Hobart looks like he's a little tired. Long night for this Hamilton club, but as Leo pointed out, they have everything to be proud of. They have played well against a very tough BC team. Second and 10, Hamilton. Hobart, again, thrown long. Looking for Rocky DiPietro, and it's knocked away by Nelson Martin. Now the Ticats are third and 10, 9 seconds remaining to play. And the ball is still on the 32-yard line, the BC Lions.
And here comes Wayne Lee in with a little play from the sidelines.
Just throw it up and hope somebody can run underneath it. Or do you try and get off a couple of short passes? We'll see what Hobart elects to do. Third down, 9 seconds to play. Third down. Still on his feet. He's short of the first down. Gets down the 25-yard line. 2 seconds remaining to play on the scoreboard clock now. But the BC Lions take over. Yeah, this is 2 points in the bank for BC. We now have a 4-point lead atop the Western Conference.
Johnny Lance kind of prancing along the sidelines, kicking cats and sticks and anything he can find there, and saying to himself, well, it's not pretty, but it's 2 points.
So the BC Lions will simply kill off the clock. 2 seconds to go. And that's it. The game is over. The BC Lions picking up their 6th win of the CFL season with a 21-11 victory over the Hamilton Ticats here at BC Place Stadium. The Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars from tonight's action here in Vancouver. Offensively, Key Van Jenkins of the BC Lions, and defensively, Ben Zambiabi of the Hamilton Ticats. Congratulations to both of them. They get a portable stereo system from Citizen Electronics. The final score, once again, here in Vancouver tonight, BC over the Hamilton Ticats, 21-11. Now back to Brian Williams at CFL Control.
All right, thank you, Steve Armitage. That Hamilton defense respectable tonight, but they need an awful lot of work on offense, in particular at quarterback. We take a look at the standings. First in the Western Conference, the BC Lions lead by 4. Winnipeg home to Calgary tomorrow. No change in the Eastern standings. In baseball tonight, the Toronto Blue Jays behind Dave Stieb winning in Chicago. The New York Yankees, we should tell you, are winning in Seattle at this hour. The Montreal Expos earlier tonight defeated the Dodgers. They're 7.5 behind St. Louis. The Cardinals won, as did the New York Mets. Again, the Blue Jays win. The Yankees are winning. I'm Brian Williams. Good night, everyone, from CFL Control. And our executive producer at CFL 85 is John Spaulding. Tonight's show directed by Ron Harrison, our ISO director Mo Waters, and the names, production and technical of the people that make CFL 85 all possible. We're a bit rushed as we sign off tonight, so let me tell you that at noon Eastern tomorrow, it's same-day coverage of the Dutch Grand Prix. The pole position belonging to Nelson Piquet, Keke Rosberg also on the front row. There's the final score. That Grand Prix tomorrow, followed by live soccer from Honduras, and then this football game, Calgary at Winnipeg. Good night, everyone.
This CFL telecast has been presented by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you. By Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment, quality is job one. By Petro-Canada, dealers and agents across Canada, putting Canada first. And we thank you for watching CFL 85, a CBC Sports presentation.